Take 3. Hi everyone, I'm Troy, and I'm the creative behind Fox and Oak Designs. I thought I'd try something a little bit different today, in the vein of doing like a tutorial, sort of like common pitfalls that you might fall into doing brioche. So what I've got here today is the Entwined Queen Shawl that I've been working on here for the last couple of weeks. If you follow the Instagram page, you've already seen a picture of this. And potentially 2 by the time this goes up. But anyway, and if you haven't been following the project, I am using Malabrigo sock in the color Frank Ochre, and I'm using Malabrigo Ultimate sock in the color Wales Road. I'm using my the very first pair of Knit Picks needles I've ever owned in a 3.75. 3.5. I want to say 3.5. So it's not the first ones I've ever owned. It's going pretty good, actually. This is my first brioche project that I've ever done. And of course, the first thing I do is going to be cabled brioche, because I can't just do the easy thing, right? So it's been a learning experience for sure. So I thought today that I'd do a little like a stream of consciousness sort of thing, to let you know my thoughts and what kind of pitfalls I've been falling into. So that way, if you guys decided that you want to do your own brioche project, you can do this. If you are feeling brave, then I do recommend this one here. It looks quite complicated, but it's only 16 row repeat, and many of the rows are rests. So if you are completely unfamiliar with brioche altogether, then the thing that you'll want to know about brioche is that even uncomplicated brioches like this, it kind of feels like you're doing one work row and then you're doing 3 rest rows. Every row of brioche is done in 2 parts. There's the foreground color and the background color if you're doing 2 color brioche. So in this case, my foreground color is the Frank Ochre and my background color is the Wales Road. And you do your foreground color first, and in this case, in this pattern, all of the work that you're doing is on that row. And then you go and you do your background color, which in this pattern, it's basically a rest row. And then when you turn it over and you do the back side, this is just plain brioche in this side. So it's basically 2 rest rows. So the main stitches that you do with a brioche stitch is either a brioche knit or a brioche purl, depending on what you're doing. But they both work the same way, kind of like how a knit and purl work. The interesting thing is how you are slipping your stitches here. So when you're working with brioche, when you're working in brioche, you're always working with a foreground color and a background color, assuming it's 2 color brioche. Even if you're using 1 color brioche, you're working with 2 different strands of yarn. So we'll call it the foreground and the background, okay? And when you're working in brioche, you work the foreground color first, and you do just that stitch there. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be doing whatever work you need to do. So cables, if you need cables, you'll be doing your cables then. And then when you get to your background colors, you're going to be slipping that stitch with your yarn in front. You're going to yarn over, and then you're going to work your next stitch as necessary. The reason why I wanted to do it on this row is because even though I'm going to be purling, I'm not going to be doing a lot of cabling on this row. So I don't want to needlessly complicate the situation by me doing cabling. So this works the exact same way. It's just that I'm on the background row. So now instead of me working the foreground, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure my yarn is in front. I'm going to slip my stitches if to purl, and then I'm going to yarn over the front here. Okay, so that way I'm ready to work my next stitch. Okay, so I've got a yarn over there. So my next stitch is going to be a purl, and a brioche purl is where I'm going to purl both the yarn buddy and that regular stitch together. Try not to block the camera so you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, so moving right along to the kind of pitfalls that I've been finding that I fall into from time to time is when I am going across, I will forget to do certain things. So I hope I'm angling this properly. I'm trying a new setup today. We will see. Oh, bugger. Oh, bugger. Okay, so I've already made a mistake. This is a mistake that I'm going to rip this row out and do it again. So when you're doing two color brioche, especially when you're doing one where it has a clean colored edge, like I've got going on here, the camera's right here, so that's why I keep looking to make sure that I'm in the frame. Anyway, so if you've got a clean color edge here, you need to make sure that your last color, my background color, that I'm holding my yarn in the right direction before I start the next round. And here I've already made a mistake. So I have held my yarn in the back when I'm supposed to be holding it here in the front. So I've tried to fix this a couple of different ways, and none of them are quite successful. So here it looks all fine on the front side, but if you turn on to the back side here, trying to keep this all in frame, you can see that I've got a little yarn over here, and then I got another one up there. And then if you look really close, there's another one somewhere down here. And what's happening there is I tried different ways to like fix this particular problem by just like restitching or whatever. But because of the nature of the stitches, what I'm either going to do in this case is I'm either going to break this yarn and start anew, so that way I don't have to worry about having like these little yarn overs here, or like little slip with yarn in fronts that are not supposed to be there. I'm going to try to keep, I'm going to fix those. And in this case, the cases that are here, since they're too far for me to really fix, and in the front you can't see it, so I might just duplicate stitch and fix it that way. But we'll go from there. So in this instance, the solution that I have for this is to either undo the entire row, which blows, or to break it and then bring it to the front. Because even if we were to go and like undo this stitch here, undo this stitch here, it's still twisted around. This is still kind of caught inside there. So I would either have to undo this stitch and somehow get my entire ball through that little hole that's created, or break the stitch, just because it's just been kind of tied in there in just the perfect way to require me to do that. So I will fix that later. Another problem, just get some stuff out of my way here. One of the most common things that happens, which I'm just going to work. So I'm going to rip this out anyway, so it's fine. It's fine. I will rip it out anyway. Okay. All right, so for the next pitfall, this one kind of, this one entirely is dependent on you being able to read your stitches. So this is a fix a problem as you go along. One of the most common things I find that I do with my brioche stitches here is I forget to yarn over properly, or it slips. So if you look at the state of the stitches here, you can see that we've got a blue stitch with a yellow yarn over it here, and that is sometimes called a shawl stitch, sometimes it's just called a buddy. I'm going to call it a buddy. But we've got a blue stitch with a yellow buddy, and then we got a yellow stitch, and then a blue stitch with a yellow buddy, and then a yellow stitch, blue stitch with a yellow buddy, and so on and so forth. And that's basically how brioche is going to be across the row. You're going to be alternating between in this case, since I've done a row of my foreground, it's going to be alternating foreground color with the background color with a foreground like shawl or buddy. Okay. So in this case, I've got blue stitch, yellow shawl, yellow stitch, blue stitch, yellow shawl, yellow stitch. Okay. The most common thing that I find that comes along is that as you're working, you'll come to a stitch like this, where it's blue stitch, yellow stitch, blue stitch with yellow shawl. The blue stitches should always have the yellow shawl. The blue stitch should always have a buddy when you're doing the appropriate color. So when this happens, all you need to do is turn over your work, and you can see this little yarn over, or rather this like slip with yarn in front that's there. All you need to do is pick this guy up, put it back on your needle. And then you can go ahead and work the stitch as you normally would. Yep. Like that. So the next thing is that now that you know how to fix it while you go, if you've missed you fixing a yarn buddy, then what will happen is you'll see a little yarn in front here, a little bit further down your work. This one's a little bit trickier to fix, but if you are confident in picking up like a dropped stitch or a what's the word I want to use? Like a split stitch, and you're okay with like dropping the ladder and then redoing it all the way up, then this should be pretty easy for you. All you need to do is do that, except there's a couple more steps to it. So the first thing that you want to do is exactly what you would be doing in the case of a drop stitch, is you would either work until that stitch, or you will you'll either work to that stitch, or in my case, I'm just going to slip until I get to that stitch. Until I get to the column above the stitch. Okay. Okay, so here is the column above my stitch. So my next stitch is the column of those stitches here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I am going to ladder down all the way to catch that stitch. So here, and in fact, I'm actually going to go a couple stitches below that, just to make sure that I'm getting the rhythm of the stitches right. So that way I've got all of this laddering. Oh, get my hand out of the way. I have all of that laddering there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pick up my stitch here, and I'm going to be ready to go. So now you can't just go and you just can't just go and work up the stitches. You have to make sure that you are weaving your stitches in between these yellow ladders at the same time, so that way you get that characteristic like shawl buddy look to it. If I didn't do that, I would have, instead of these like nice little V's that are happening there for the brioche, that's giving it that that like characteristic brioche look, then it would just look like I've just got stockinette on the side. So we don't want that. So what we're going to do to make sure that we don't have that problem is we're going to weave the our crochet hook in and out of those yellow stitches to make sure that we're doing it properly. So the way to get it, so the order of how you're going to weave your stitches in here is you're going to read the ladders, and you're going to take your crochet hook, and you're going to go over the first one. So I'm going to go over this stitch, and I'm going to go under the next two stitches. And the reason why I'm going over the next two is because, using this pointer here, this little blue stitch here is what I'm actually going to be pulling through here. So the reason why we're going under two is because this stitch here sits atop of that second stitch there. Okay, so we are going to go over the first one, under the two that are here, and we're going to grab that blue strand, and we're going to pull it through. Okay, and then we're going to repeat that. So we're going to go over one, under two, and we're going to grab this blue strand here. Okay, go ahead and grab that, making sure that you are not unnecessarily twisting your strand like I just did. Okay, so over one here, under two, and we're going to grab this strand. Oh, I didn't pull that one through before. So over one, under two, we're going to grab this strand here. Boop. Over one, under two, we're going to grab this this blue strand. And we're going to go over one, under two, and we're going to grab the next strand. So when you're finishing this off, it's going to look a little weird, because in this case, It looks a little weird because I got 2 shawls here on this last stitch. You can see I've got one right there and I've got one right here. And that's because this little shawl stitch actually belongs up on the needle. So you need to keep in mind of what color you're working with and making sure that when you get to that stage here and you're fixing that, you're making sure that like if you are on a row where the color that you just ripped down has a buddy stitch on your other ones here. So as we said before, like our blue stitches have a buddy stitch and there's yellow stitches, blue stitch with buddy stitch, yellow stitch. Then our blue stitch that we just finished laddering all the way up needs to have a buddy stitch. Just make sure that you do that to make sure you don't make your repair doesn't cause any other mistakes. When it comes, when it comes to repairing the cabling, I find it's easiest just to rip it back. You can go and fix it with like with a crochet hook and the cable needle and work it, but the amount of time it would take you to rip down all of these stitches, like let's say with this cable's in the wrong direction, the amount of time that it would take you to rip down that's probably 10 rows there. And for just this section to fix this, you might as well just rip it all the way back. Give you a little bit more practice at doing these stitches, and you can make sure that you're not going to have to deal with any weird tension issues. So the last thing I want to go over is like the construction of the stitches. Since we've gone over how you do your knit, your purl, and how to fix dropped yarn overs and how we've fixed like picking up a stitch or picking up a drop stitch, or to fix a slip with yarn in front that you didn't do properly, since those are the same. The next thing that I want to show you is just like showing you how the stitches are constructed. So that way, if you ever need to repair something minor yourself, then you've got at least the knowledge of how the stitch is constructed. We're getting into some advanced stuff. So if you would rather just tink back and redo it, do that. It's easier. But if you are a masochist like me and will rip it down and fix it with a crochet hook, then this is for you. So the way that the yarn is, the way the stitches are constructed here is that your yarn, will start from this stitch here. It goes up and over the needle for this yellow stitch, comes back down here, and it hooks underneath. That rose blue stitch here before coming back up and over as a shawl collar. And then when you follow it all the way back, it comes back up into this stitch here, and just like a regular purl, so it goes in a regular purl, so it just goes up and over. And when you're working on the background color, I've got the shawl of the previous row kind of goes up and around the previous row's stitch here, and then it gets caught in the previous row's purl stitch there, as well as the shawl stitch from the previous row, and goes up. Okay, and it goes up and around. So as long as you are making sure that you've got your stitches shawling over each other properly after you finish repairing stuff, then it's in an order in which that you can continue working. And then, well, so I hope that I hope you found this video useful. And I hope you enjoyed this kind of like conversational style video where I am just kind of shooting the shit with you. All right. So the other camera has spoken, and it is done for the day. So I restarted the video, or restarted the recording. So that's all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this kind of video where I just kind of like shoot the shit with you and tell you like how my projects are getting along. So if you have any questions, please comment down below. If you like this kind of video, just let me know down in the description. If you'd like me to do more of them in the future, I'd be happy to do that. And if this isn't for you, then feed that algorithm. Tell me down in the description, but give me a thumbs up regardless. If you like what I do here, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell, so that way you're notified of my next video, which lately has been kind of going up kind of not in the right times, or not consistently. So if you have the notification bell, you don't have to worry about me loading videos consistently. You just get notified by it. But anyway, thank you for joining me here on Thanksgiving, and you guys have a great day. Bye bye.